Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Colin Allam. I'm the Director of Communications and Events here at the Council. And so I am here today to bring greetings on behalf of the Council and welcome you all to today's session on doing business with ToughLeaf. Terry is unable to be here today because he had a conflicting meeting, so he asked that I give some brief remarks on his behalf. We hope that you all find this session both engaging and informational. ToughLeaf is one of our newer corporate members, so we are excited to work with them on presenting to you all today. We hope that the information you receive can also be shared. Certainly, today's session is being recorded so that we can distribute it afterwards to those who were unable to attend today. And so, in light of that, I'll ask that when you're not speaking, you keep your microphone muted, and that if you so desire, you can leave your camera on, but if you choose to, you can also turn the camera off. That's entirely up to you. So having laid those ground rules and having shared those greetings, I won't take up too much more of your time. I'm going to turn it over to the ToughLeaf team now, specifically to Nia Brooks, who will guide you through today's presentation. So Nia, it's all yours.
Okay, well, I do think Wissam is going to guide through the presentation, but I would like to make some introductions here of our team that you'll find here on the call with us, and we're each going to speak at different times and give our own personal advice and tips. So I'm Nia Brooks, Head of Sales, and then Wissam.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wissam, the founder and the CEO of ToughLeaf. Mac.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mac Cullinane. I am the procurement specialist for ToughLeaf.
Hassan.
Hey, everyone. I'm Hassan. I'm the operations manager at ToughLeaf.
And Hassan will also be taking your questions in the chat as well. So if you have any questions, please post those in the chat, and we'll have an open Q&A at the end of our presentation. After our presentation, we're going to have a special guest for us from Rastani Construction. So that is something to be looked forward to, and you'll be able to ask him questions as well in the chat that Hassan will direct to him after he speaks. Based on the time allotted. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Wissam, and he can get us started on our presentation for how to do business with ToughLeaf.
Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to the council, NYNJ MSTC, for allowing us to present today and for being a great partner in the space. We're at ToughLeaf. We're the platform for diverse firms to win more projects and connect to capacity building services. So if you want to go to the next slide, Hassan. Right. So we're the diverse firm marketplace, and for us, just to define what is a diverse firm, that you'll find in the next slide. That's a minority-owned business, woman-owned business, disadvantaged business enterprise, SDVOB, local business, veteran-owned small business. Basically, any type of certification we consider as a diverse firm. We help companies that are publicly certified by the state or the city or the federal government, and obviously that are privately certified by MSDC. So if you're on this call, you're probably certified by MSDC, and you are one of our target companies that we'd love to help connect you with opportunities and capacity building services. And I'll show you how throughout this presentation. Next slide, please. And why, we'll start by why this is relevant. Obviously, you all know that the percentage of spending on a federal, state, city level, and also for a lot of private companies, Fortune 500s and such, part of that spending has to go to minority women-owned businesses. As I mentioned, we call them diverse firms. But there is a huge gap. So we've looked at the numbers, and in 2022, there was allocation of $104 billion for diverse firms. However, more than 50% of that, or $62 billion, was left unallocated. Now, that's obviously a big number, and it's more than 50% of the money. So our role here at ToughLeaf is try to reduce that gap as much as possible with the help of our partners at MSDC and other organizations. Our goal is to get that gap down to zero, give as much money as possible to certified businesses, to minority-owned businesses, so that they can grow. Because this picture, as we see right now, can show you that there's a huge missed opportunity to make more money and grow your business. And we'll show you how we hope to solve that throughout this presentation. Next slide, please. So we start by looking at the problem, and we're looking at it from both your side and from the contractor, developer, or the people who are hiring you side. So we've done, hundreds of obviously meetings with diverse firms such as yourselves, and we found that one is difficult to find the right project. Throughout this after this presentation or in the Q&A section, if you have anything you would like to add or anything you disagree with, please let us know. But that's kind of the feedback that we got is one is difficult to find the right project because not all of you have a whole business development team looking for projects for you. We understand that. Second is time intensive because you need to go through a pre-qualification process with the contractors or developers or clients that you work with. And then you need to estimate the price, submit that price, and prepare a proposal, and that takes a lot of time. And then at the end of the day, you might do all of that work and still not win any jobs. There's a lack of visibility. There's not a lot of online presence for a lot of the firms. And then you get a lot of irrelevant opportunities that maybe, they don't match your requirements, they don't match your qualifications, they're too big for what you do or too small for what you do, and it's not really your capabilities. So that's what we've heard from companies in your space. And from the other side of the business, the people you're selling to, if they don't use you, then they're, forced to pay financial penalties. They sometimes get disqualified or sanctioned. So there is a big incentive for them to hire minority-owned businesses, but there's still that gap that we just spoke about and that we're trying to solve, which, next slide, please. There you go. So we try to solve that by putting you in contact with opportunities. That's the number one way of showing that. So at ToughLeaf, we've awarded more than $110 million to firms that are in our network in the past year. We help give you targeted opportunities based on your capabilities. So we have a lot of your data. We know what you're capable of, and then from there we know what the contractors or the or the buyers need. So this is one example. Is the JP Morgan Chase headquarters that's here in Manhattan, close to our office. And what we do there is we get the client requirements. So we work with the contractors, with the developers, and understand what they're looking for. They're looking for, let's say, a structural steel subcontractor or a tiling subcontractor or a window supplier, safety management company, and so on. And we understand what they're looking for in each of these scopes. How big is it? What are the requirements? Do you need to have a certain type of insurance? Do you need to be in the union, not in the union, et cetera, et cetera? And then we match that with the capabilities that we know based on the data that we've collected on you. And that's how we're able to match you with the right project. And right now we have over $200 million of projects in the pipeline. In addition to the JP Morgan Chase headquarters, we have the Dormitory Authority on 112th Street for Columbia University, Bronx Animal Veterinary Clinic, amongst other projects. So our goal is to connect you with these projects based on your requirements. So that's one way we do it is by connecting you to these project opportunities. And the other way is by connecting you to capacity building services to help you grow your business. And those, include a slew of services from insurance to bonding. So the insurance, and I'll tell you how this started, is some of the minority-owned businesses that we've connected to projects come back to us and they're like, we need a bigger insurance COI, certificate of insurance, to get this project. Right. So what happens is they don't have the best connections and they're getting very high pricing. And what that means is they're not competitive. So we help connect them to help connect you, minority-owned businesses, with insurance firms that meet the requirements of that what this project needs. And what that means is you're not ending up paying a whole lot of more money for the same thing, because the companies we're connecting you with are specialized in small, medium-sized, minority-owned businesses. So they're focused on clients like you or businesses like yours. So bonding, the same thing. We can also help connect you with capital. So we're part of a whole different capital providing programs. Some of them which are free in form of grants. Others are 0% interest loans. Like for example, we're associated with LISC. And we can recommend companies to them and LISC can give you up to $400,000, 0% interest loan as long as you're a minority certified business to help you grow. So that's one of the other services we can help connect you with, along with payroll services. If you need certified payroll, because we know a lot of businesses that we've worked with, minority-owned businesses, are using ADP, for example, which is charging them a lot of money. And they're not really suited for smaller companies. They typically focus on 100+ companies. So we help connect them with our partner at Heartland, who they're focused on companies that have less than 50 employees. So we're finding these partners for you. We're connecting them to you, and then obviously, very importantly, we're securing discounts for companies that are part of our membership. So you always get ToughLeaf preferred rates by working with them. Next slide, please. This is another opportunity, the Bronx Animal Care Center. Another job, and this is just some look of the jobs that we have, some of the general contractors that we work with across the city, and some of the jobs that you can see on the right with the contract value size of each of the job and the MWBE requirement or DBA requirement for all of them. Next slide, please. So one essential part of ToughLeaf is your ToughLeaf profile. So each minority woman-owned business that is certified, as I mentioned, by all the organizations that we work with, has the ability to claim their profile on ToughLeaf. And how that works is, we have your email. So basically, if you've been on this call, you're going to be getting after this call today or maybe tomorrow a claim link from us, which allows you to claim your profile. And what you see on the right, that's what your profile is. It shows you, company details, your certifications, your capabilities, how long you've been in business, your revenue, endorsements, past projects completed, and so on. So that our clients can see that information and then connect with you, and that's where we get the data on you to share with our clients so that they can see if they would like to work with you or not. Obviously, one important part I forgot to mention is that all the services that we provide to diverse firms or minority-owned businesses are completely free. So we're not here to try to charge you anything. We're here to support you and help you grow. And that's our mission, is to empower minority and diverse businesses to grow their business by connecting them with opportunities and capacity building services. So we're not here to make money off of you, just to make that clear. So you'll get the claim link, you click on the claim link, you put your password, you own your profile, and that allows you to edit any information that we have on you if it's inaccurate. For example, we might have the wrong phone number for you, you might have changed your phone number, and so on. And you're allowed to put how many years have you been in business, and you can see all the certifications we have on you. And then if we're missing any of the certifications, you can request we add them. And then the other thing you can do from your profile is you can download and use your capability statement, and that you can share with, if you're going to events, you want to share with developers, contractors, or any of your clients, you can do that. Again, it is free of charge. You'll be able, once you claim your profile, to participate in our events. You can meet, our clients, general contractors, developers, and owners, and industry experts at the events that we host. And then you can connect with our capacity building partners, which I've mentioned before. All of that happens after you claim your profile. And you're gonna get a claim link from us after this meeting today. It's gonna go to your email. Just click on that link, you put your password, you own your profile, you can edit it, and if you have any questions or comments, you can get back to us with that. Next slide, please. Okay, so slide on the capacity building partners that we have, and you know, what services do they provide. So these are services and tools that are always needed and often hard to acquire, or hard to acquire at the right price, hard to connect to the right person, because they're focused on these major corporations. They're not looking at the SMBs, small, medium businesses. They're all experts in working with small businesses and diverse businesses. So the reason they got onto our platform and they became a capacity building service is that we've vetted them, and we've talked to their customers who are small minority-owned businesses. We've made sure that they've provided the right service to them, and we put this through our diverse firm council to ensure that they're providing a service that is needed. Once they pass through that hurdle, then they can start connecting with you. And we've negotiated discount and special rates for all of you as ToughLeaf members. You can go see them by going to toughleaf.com/partners, and you can see all of them. You can schedule a demo with any of these partners, and you know, it's always a free consultation. They'll tell you what services they provide, what's the special rate that they can give you, and so on. And then obviously, if you don't like it, you can get a better rate somewhere else, or you simply didn't enjoy talking to them. There's no commitment at all. You can always pass on the opportunity, but if it is something that you find interesting, then you can pursue it further. So I'm just going to run through them. Payroll services, we work with Heartland. They're a payroll company that specializes in companies that have less than 50 employees. Right now, they have an offer of, they guarantee you a saving of 40% of your payroll services for this year, or they're going to pay you a voucher of $500. Staffing, we work with a company called Her and Wolf that can help you connect with, you know, employees that you want to hire, whether they're on labor or they're on the management team. And we've negotiated a fixed fee for them with our ToughLeaf members in order to ensure that, you know, you're not paying a lot of money. Bonding, we work with Levitt First, and they're able to provide bonds for smaller companies versus, you know, the bigger bonding companies who only want to work with the big ones. Digital marketing, if that's something you're interested in as well, we can connect you with Constant Contact. On the retirement services, now that's an interesting one, especially for companies that are based in New York, since 401ks became mandatory as of this year. If you have 5 or more employees and you're a New York City company, or if you have 10 or more employees being a New York State company, then you're mandatory to offer them retirement services. Or you're going to pay a fine at the end of the year. So, and our partner, Human Interest, will pay you actually for you to set up a 401k program with them. So it's not, it works the opposite way. You don't pay them to set up the 401k, they will pay you to set up 401ks for your employees. Tax credits, that's also a very important one, because they can get you money back from employee retention tax credits, R&D tax credits, and so on. And we've also been able to negotiate a rate where you don't pay any money up front. So you schedule a demo with them, you share with them what you're working on, and they'll tell you if they think you're a good candidate for any of the tax credits that they can do. They'll go and they'll do the work, and once they've secured the money back for you from the government, they will charge you a percentage of that money. So if they don't get you any money back, you pay them $0. If they get you, they were able to get us $22,000, and we had to pay them $3,000 back for their services. So net, we made $18,000. Insurance, we've partnered with our insurance provider, which is Levitt First in New York and with USI in New Jersey, and they're able to offer you a special preferred rates. Financing, as I mentioned, we work with LISC, and that's a $400,000 loan, 0% interest rate, which with today's interest rate, that sounds a little crazy, but it's true. And then that becomes a grant under certain conditions. And then we have our accelerated payment solution. So if you have, that's a challenge that a lot of the MBEs that we work with have been facing, is that, they do the work for the client. They're promised that they're going to pay, but the payment is taking, 2, 3, 4 months, and it's not coming in. And the client has, for whatever excuse, but they're not paying. and you need the money to pay your people, you need the money to make payroll, to buy more equipment, or pay your vendors and so on. So we work with Construct for who, if you have an approved payment from the client, even if they haven't paid you, they'll upfront the money for you, so that you can keep your business afloat and stay cash flow positive. So those are the tools that we have today. Again, if anything seems interesting to you, feel free to talk to any of our people here today, Nia, Mac, or Hassan, and they'll be happy to connect you with them. Or you can go to our platform and schedule a demo by yourself by just putting in your business information. And if you want to send an email to any of us, it's our first name at toughleaf.com. So it would be Nia, Neah, at toughleaf.com would be her email, or you can talk to her on the chat, or LinkedIn or anything. So that's our capacity building partners. Next slide, please. So I'm going to pass it to Nia to tell you more about our events and how we can, what we typically do throughout the year. Nia?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we do to not only engage diverse firms, but also engage with general contractors and create those connections is our events. We have events pretty frequently, online events, in-person events. Recently, at the end of February, we had a really wonderful event that was called Overcoming Diversity, and we discussed challenges in construction and especially in the procurement process. We had a really wonderful panel of experts there from Gilbane, E.W. Howell, Turner and Townsend, TrackFlow, moderated by Tanya Pope of CU Grow from Columbia. So this was a great chance for subcontractors to come in, hear more about the process, what they look for, what their recommendations are for really elevating diverse business. And then we had a great deal of networking. So it was really beneficial. In addition to these in-person events, we were scheduling more virtual events, webinars, ways to learn, ways to grow, ways to connect with GCs. So definitely one of my biggest recommendations, other than just claiming your profile, is to follow us on LinkedIn, watch the feed, sign up for notifications when we post, and learn more about these upcoming events that we have, because it's a great chance to connect with general contractors, developers, and owners who are looking for more diverse firms to hire. So Hassan, next slide. And then Wissam. You're muted.
That's the word of the year. You're muted. So just want to tell you, some of the advisors that we work with and help, our minority-owned businesses are Tanya Pope, who's a supplier, AVP of Supplier Diversity at Columbia University. She's also very active with Ascend Tri-State program, which is for minority-owned businesses, if you weren't aware of it, and CU Grow, which is the Columbia University program for minority and women-owned businesses. They're located around the Harlem area, so you have to be in specific zip codes to be eligible there. And she's been, working in the space for tens of years. She obviously knows more than all of us here at ToughLeaf of the challenges of diverse firms, and she's been very helpful for us and getting to know them. And we have Tim McManus, who's been, who's worked for McKinsey, at AECOM, at Ernst & Young, and sits on the board of a lot of large corporations that are looking for minority-owned businesses that helps us connect to them. Barbara Roberts, she, started a lot of different centers for minority-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses, and helped a lot of the diverse groups grow. And Ibrahim Ode, he sits on the board of a lot of large organizations like the World Economic Forum, and with a lot of the larger minority and women-owned businesses like WPMX or NTEC, and helps us to kind of transfer that knowledge that they had, because they grew businesses from being under $100,000 to multi-million dollars in revenue a year. So it helps us transfer that knowledge from these businesses to smaller businesses that we work with and assist, and to help build that capacity, and advises us on what kind of partners we need to bring on in order to create that ecosystem which we are trying to create, and obviously help of our partners that are doing a lot of the legwork with us. So next slide, please. So some of the testimonials from companies that we've worked with, both on the contracting side, the development side, owner side, and the diverse firm side. And you're gonna hear from Firas after you hear after we finish talking about his experience in working with ToughLeaf and finding minority-owned businesses through ToughLeaf. But next slide, please. Oh, I feel like we missed something. Oh, here we go. So this is basically just to tell you what's in store for ToughLeaf. Is we're going to have more projects. We mentioned we already have 200 million projects on the platform today, or in the pipeline, and we're looking to grow that. We're looking to add more resources from capacity building partners, but also adding a page that allows you to see what are different contacts for people in the diverse firm environment. So from small business administration, from Empire State Development, from MSDC, from WeBank, and all different organizations, so that if you need to contact someone, you can find their information there and contact them. We're also going to be adding all of the programs that I've added or I mentioned from Seagrow, Ascend, Rising Stars from Tremco, Rising Contractors from Gilbane into one page, so you can go there and see all of the programs that exist for you and be able to access them, or access the one that makes the most sense to you. We're also launching our blog page later this week, which will have thought leadership articles and blogs. So, if you follow us on LinkedIn or Twitter or any of the social media platforms, you're going to get access to these blogs, and hopefully that'll help you grow your business, because we're going to have, interviews with a lot of the leaders in this space, or a lot of people who've done it before, included there. So that will be like a learning thought leadership resource for all of you. So with that, enough from me. Thank you, and would love to answer any questions. Nia, how do we want to do it? Do you want to take questions now, or do you want to?
Well, we've been answering some questions in the chat. So what I would recommend doing is everyone continue to post your questions. I'm going to hand it over to Mac next, because Mac is our procurement specialist. So when we have projects that need to be filled with wonderful, diverse firms like yourselves, Mac is the one who finds you and calls you and tells you the great news about it. So I'm going to have him take over from here and share with us what he does and what you would experience whenever he calls you.
Thank you, Nia, for the intro. So like she just said, I do all the outreach to diverse firms, particularly, especially when it comes to projects that GCs need bids for. And it's basically my duty to just go through all the stress points of what the client may need to make sure that their compliance and diversity participation requirements are fulfilled. So for example, if I'm calling you about a project from JRM where they need bids for following trades like carpentry, tiling, plumbing, and other trades, and they want the firms that have the MBE NYC certification. Basically, with the help of our product manager, we basically go through our system to find the ones that would potentially be a good fit for that. It's my job to reach out to them, not only by phone, but also by email if necessary, to have thorough conversations to ensure that the prospects are indeed a good fit. So basically, if I am reaching out to you for a project, please be prepared to answer questions that I will have to ask you. And that would go with if you are affiliate with any unions, if you can sign a PLA, what your bonding capacity may be, if you have any past projects that you may have done that is kind of mirroring the scope of work that we would want you to bid on. So these are really just the a range of questions that I could very well ask you when I do call you or email you if I'm trying to get you to bid on a job. So that's really the whole point of my role with ToughLeaf, is that I help the diverse firms, getting them connected with the GCs, but to ensure that at the same time that the prospects not only are interested in bidding on the jobs, but they're a good fit through and through. And aside from projects, you may even hear from me on a proactive basis if I'm just trying to just get you to claim your profile, which again doesn't cost you anything. only takes a click and a few minutes of your time. So really don't have anything to lose. So you may just hear me in a blue moon if I'm just trying to just get you to join ToughLeaf and see and just get all the benefits. And piggying back to when we discussed about the capacity building partners, you may very well hear from me in regards to seeing if you want to schedule a consultation. For example, Levitt First, they are an insurance company for over 50 years, and definitely have a specialization with helping out diverse firms when it comes to both insurance and or bonding. So as of right now, I am reaching out to diverse firms as we speak who may be interested in doing consultation at no cost for that. So if you're on my list, you may be hearing from me. So, but that's basically my role in a nutshell. I hope you all find it important as well as significant, and I appreciate speaking about it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mac. So yeah, there are definitely many ways in which you may hear from Mac. He really helps make the whole project experience successful and get those subcontractors that are the right fit and assist with that capacity building service need when there is one. So keep an eye out on your email because you may get an email from Mac. And before we give it over to our special guest, just getting into a little bit more about our sales and marketing efforts on my end, so you know what we're doing exactly to bring more projects to the table. On the sales and marketing side, my whole job is getting more general contractors engaged with us, providing us with their projects, working with us so we can in turn have more business for you. Part of the sales and marketing includes, social media, YouTube videos, everything we can possibly do to increase our reach to other general contractors. So if you happen to work with any general contractors that need help with their requirements, you can always send them our way and we'll help. If you know other diverse firms that are looking for more work, you can always direct them to ToughLeaf. And of course, if you have any questions for me or anyone else here at ToughLeaf, feel free to leave them in the chat. Next, I'm going to introduce our special guest from Rastani Construction, Firaz Safa. We're very excited to have you on with us today, and how we're going to do things is give it over to you so you can talk about your ToughLeaf experience and how diverse firms could potentially work with Rastani. And then if anyone has any questions for Firaz, please leave it in the chat and we will provide these chat questions to him at the end of his presentation. So I will go ahead and hand it over to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know everyone is very excited to hear from you.
Thank you, Nia. I appreciate the introduction, and it's my pleasure being here today. So just to give you a brief introduction on myself, my name is Firaz Safa. I currently work at Rastani Construction, which is a general contractor here in New York City. We've been in New York City for almost 40 years now. We do a lot of work across the 5 boroughs of New York. Our clients are mostly government agencies ranging from city or state DOT, MTA, DDC, and so on in terms of agencies. At Rastani, we have a few different divisions ranging from bridges, utilities infrastructure, paving, and we have a gas and energy division. So before I joined Rastani, I'm currently the procurement manager here at Rastani, and I'm involved in all that design build projects and proposals. So prior to joining Rastani, I was at Tishman. I was a procurement specialist at Tishman. Some of the projects I worked on were the Waldorf Astoria, One Vanderbilt, and JFK project Terminal 1. So some of the biggest projects in New York City. And I've been, throughout my experience in procurement, I've always had to work with minority companies, with diverse firms, women-owned businesses. Especially on government projects, there's always a requirement, and it always opens the door for us as general contractors to work with these diverse firms and have to build a relationship or partnership that can go throughout our time on projects and across different projects that we have. So my experience with ToughLeaf started more than a year ago, and we started using ToughLeaf to utilize that technology on our projects because, like I mentioned, our relationship with minority women-owned businesses was to bring them on board for our projects, and that was always a challenge for us because it was a whole messy process just to find these companies, being able to reach them, find the most up-to-date contact information, and then knowing that there's a good fit between us and what they provide in terms of what we're looking for, or projects that they have that are similar to what we've done. So this was always a challenge for us, and it caused us to at sometimes fail to hit the goals that we need on contracts, and that always is something that we'd like to avoid, especially on government projects, because the clients, this is always a top priority for the client, and they want us to keep on top of this in terms of bringing these companies on board and continuing with the reporting and just making sure that we're on top of that thing. So ToughLeaf for us was something that was very exciting, very interesting, and it was there to solve that particular problem that we've been facing. So using ToughLeaf has been very easy, very straightforward. So what it did basically just organize that whole process, take the sting out of it, make it streamlined, and what it makes it very easy for us is just the ability to look for specific trades or companies that can do certain work that we're looking for, whether that's just searching through the directory or looking for companies and then seeing what these companies provide in terms of services. And it also gives us the opportunity to look at previous experiences that these companies have had, previous projects that they've worked on, bonding capacity. All of these things that we look at allow us as a general contractor to have more faith or more understanding of what these companies do, and makes us more confident and comfortable that this is actually a good fit between us and to bring them on board on our projects. So using ToughLeaf had made this experience for us very easy. We've been very happy with using ToughLeaf and connecting with these companies, bringing them on board, and it's been very helpful, particularly in opening up these doors to build partnerships and relationships, not just on one project, but continuously throughout future projects, in terms of just having confidence in these subcontractors and knowing what they provide, and then just matching that against what we're looking for in future projects that we're working on. Now, to briefly touch on us as a general contractor, what we usually look for in subs, what we would think would increase chances of subs joining our teams and our projects, is basically, as a contractor, there are two things that we look for, right? It's price and then quality and safety. So for us, in terms of quality and safety, we would like all our projects, all our subs to be up to the standard that we want and up to the standard that we're used to delivering to our clients. So how do we make sure that that is something that's there? So ToughLeaf is one thing that would help us into looking to previous projects, bonding capacity, asking around, the reputation. So that's in terms of quality and safety. That's always something that we look very highly into. And then price, which is just being competitive in the market, bringing someone on board who is competitive and that can help us in providing competitive bid to the client ultimately. But the most important thing, I believe, in terms of subcontractors and then joining on board with general contractors, is just reputation. So our industry is really not that big. The word of mouth is pretty major in our industry. Once a subcontractor has a good reputation, that travels way better than anything else in our industry. So I highly encourage subcontractors to just stay on top of their game, be involved in networking events, building relationships with general contractors, because even if a subcontractor builds a good relationship with one general contractor, ultimately through word of mouth that transfers between like general contractors. So that's in terms of joining us. And then from me as a general contractor, if I would give like general recommendation to diverse firms to grow their businesses or to scale their businesses with more work, like I mentioned, networking, building relationships with clients, with general contractors, with other firms, that always opens doors for more work. And then attending events, whether that's events that are supported by ToughLeaf, as Nia was mentioning earlier, those are always helpful to just bring the word out, letting the general contractors know who's out there, who does what, and then building that confidence between the contractor and the sub, and then just utilizing or leveraging technology, which can be found in ToughLeaf. So this is a platform that clearly identifies these subcontractors or your companies to general contractors, which makes it very easy for them to look for you. And then having a complete profile and claiming your profile makes it easier for us as general contractors to look for you guys in this platform and ultimately reach out for bidding on our projects and our jobs. So in a nutshell, that's my 2 cents on it today. I appreciate you guys having me today.
All right, awesome. Thank you for coming on with us. That was certainly very informative. We didn't get any questions in the chat during that segment. So if anyone has any questions, if you'd like to raise your hands, that would be wonderful. If you have anything for Faraz, otherwise, thank you so much for joining us today and providing all of that interesting information for everyone attending. What I would like to go over next is get into our chat and go over some of the questions that you asked. And we have been trying to answer these questions as they've come in, but there have been a couple really good questions I think are worth discussing before we open it up for the live Q&A. So some of the questions we got, let me throw a few out there. And I'll throw these questions to Wissam because he can provide more in-depth information beyond the very limited responses we're allowed to give in the chat. So the first question, are the firms you work with typically looking for support for construction projects only? Is there a need for operations or IT projects? And then we also got a second follow-up that had to do with employment background screenings. So can you kind of elaborate a little bit more, Wissam, on the different types of work that general contractors, developers, and owners may be looking for? You're
Yes,
muted.
of course. Yes. Yeah, so we and just to be transparent, the majority of them are construction related, but that doesn't mean that all of them are. So when I mean construction related is stuff that has to do with construction supplies and subcontracting, professional services as it relates to construction, engineering, architecture. But that's not everything, right? That's a major part of it, but we do have, all sorts of needs from IT to operations that come up on our platform. And that's kind of part of our growth plan, is to expand to other areas other than construction, but we had to start somewhere. So that's kind of where we started. So full transparency, that's the majority of it, but that doesn't mean it's all of it. I hope I answered that question. And then for the other one regarding employment backgrounds, we do work sometimes with general contractors that require employment backgrounds on their employees or on employees that they want to hire. So we obviously the best way to do that or to get connected with those is, once you get the email from us to claim your profile, claim it, add that as one of your capabilities. Maybe it could be helpful for me to show you how that works. So if we have some time towards the end, I'll take you through the process and how we can add those capabilities. But do put employment background screening on it. So whenever we get that request, we'll match you with it, and then hopefully you can provide those services.
Awesome. So another question we got that I want to kind of cover a little bit before handing over to you was, many companies have centralized procurement departments. What percentage of firms have you dealt with that have this structure? So, I mean, I'm sure Wissam can elaborate on the number of firms we've worked with that have that kind of a structure, but in my opinion and in my experience with general contractors I've spoke to when trying to get them to work with us here at ToughLeaf, some of them have whole procurement departments where this is, you know, their only job. They have sometimes departments where people are tasked with trying to find more diverse firms for their projects. And then they have some situations in which estimators are just responsible for somehow getting more diverse firms to bid on their projects. What I've found in my experience is that regardless of who's doing it, this isn't the only hat they have to wear. And beyond just finding the diverse firms and inviting them to bid on the project, there are whole other things that they have to do. Compliance is a huge deal. Pre-qualification is a huge deal. So we've found that basically almost any company we talk to, there's a struggle and there's a pain point with it. In some way, shape, or form at some point in time. Sometimes they have projects where they have excellent coverage, except for in one trade, where they're like, this one trade, we can't figure out how to get a diverse firm in here. We're not getting what we need. So just in our experience, it doesn't really seem to matter how they're doing it. There always tends to be some kind of a need, whether it's a big need or a small need, really is the question. Wissam, do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of the companies that we deal with have a centralized procurement department. And I would say the vast majority of them. But that doesn't mean that they are meeting the requirements. As we showed in the beginning of our presentation, more than 50% is not being met. And that's why they need us, especially companies that are getting to expand to new areas. They haven't been in New York for quite some time, so they don't have the connections that they need. And that's where we come into play. They ask us to find them diverse firms that meet their requirements, and then from there, we'll contact you through Mac, and we'll take and we take it from there and ensure that you're helping them fulfill that need.
Awesome. So that really was all we had as far as questions. So if anyone has any other questions, you can raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question live, or you can leave it in the chat. Otherwise, I think we're pretty much coming to a close here. What I would like to recommend everyone do is to email any of us, nia@toughleaf.com, Wissam@toughleaf.com, Hassan@toughleaf.com, Mackenzie@toughleaf.com, any of us. And we can get you the claim link for your profile. We're also going to be asking the council for a list of registrations from today, and so we can send out the claim links that way. If you're interested in any capacity building services, if you need help growing and scaling your business, I would recommend reaching out to us in some way, and you can speak with Mac or Hassan about different services that may be available to you. And then if you just have any other questions and you want to pick our brain about different ways you can grow, make connections, network, learn, we're always happy to help. So if no one has any questions, there's nothing else coming into the chat, I will hand it back over to Colin and let him take over from here.
Any questions? And maybe I saw one question I'd like to answer too. If no one has any questions, I'm just gonna, because I saw one question asking if we do one-on-ones, and yes, we do. All you need to do is go to toughleaf.com, and then you click the book demo button here, if y'all can see it. And then it's going to ask you if you want to find a diverse firm or if you are a diverse firm. In your case, you are a diverse firm. And once you click there, you're going to get basically different times that you can schedule a meeting for. So pretty much it's very open. Anytime you just click the time, you go next, you put your information down, your company, your phone number, and then you'll get to talk one-on-one with one of our experts in the space. So that's how you can talk to us at any point, really. We also have a phone number, so if you go to the bottom of our list here, you can call us, you can email us. These are states we're in, and these are the states we're expanding to. You can also take a look at our projects. So that's really, all simple just by going to toughleaf.com. You'll be able to get all that information. So I'm gonna give you a minute to see if anyone has any questions before we hand it back over to Colin. Maybe less than a minute if no one wants to talk. All right.
Thank
Cool.
you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Colin, back to you.
Yes, thank you, Wissam, and thank you to the ToughLeaf team. Sorry for today's presentation. Very, very good information, and definitely information that if you're not utilizing on your own, you certainly should share. There is a need for it. I'm happy to see that you guys are filling that void, and hopefully this can be beneficial to those of you who are on today and to those who will be watching the recording that we put on our YouTube page after. Before I let you guys go, I have one task and one task only. As the director of events here at the council, I would be remiss if I did not tell you guys about our upcoming business opportunity exchange on May 18th at the Bank of New York Mellon Conference Center, downtown Manhattan. It's going to be similar to this session today, where you have a number of different corporate members telling you about how you can do business with them or best practices on doing business with them, as well as opportunities to network some more. This year is the council's 50th anniversary, so we're doing things a bit different and we're adding some special components to it. So we hope that you all can join us for more information. Either look for the newsletters that you receive from the council on a regular basis, or you can go to our website, www.nynjmsdc.org. So without any further ado, let me just check the chat because I saw one question come in. Oh, that was a thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon and hope you guys get to catch lunch.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you. See you guys at the next event.
Everyone.